What is this process that I'm encouraging you to master? This is the process of going from a novice, amateur, beginner learner into someone who is such an expert at learning that you can pick up and master anything that you put your mind to. How is an expert learner's learning different from that of a novice learner? Expert learners are better at managing their learning environments to make it more conducive. Their time, right? They're better at scheduling their study time so that it's more efficiently used and more productive. They figure out the physical resources that they need, both in class and beyond, to set them up for success. They know the kinds of social sources of support that they can go to, both for their learning and for their mental health. And finally, they also are good at regulating their motivation. We're going to go into some key differences between novices and experts. So the first is, even before you start learning, expert learners figure out what the class and the subject demands of them to succeed. They find out what they'll need, what they'll learn, how they'll be evaluated, when they'll be evaluated, and they plan ahead of time the strategies that they're going to use to game this well. Let's talk about learning strategies. Novices often aren't aware of good learning strategies, or even when they're aware of them, sometimes they just don't apply them. But expert learners, on the other hand, they are aware of and they apply effective learning strategies when studying. Of course, expert learners aren't naturally born knowing all the possible learning strategies that are under the sun. But the difference is they make it their business to find out what are more and more and even more effective learning strategies all the time. During the process of learning, novice learners rarely monitor their understanding, so you don't have a good sense of whether they fully comprehend something or not. But expert learners continually monitor their understanding, their strategies, and their progress, so that when they're not being productive, they switch up the strategies that they're using. When they don't fully understand something, they seek help so that they can fully master it. Novice learners tend to be more rigid and less flexible in their learning methods. They tend to think, and the strategies that I've been using before in JC or Poly or in my previous intro classes are going to work just fine for me now. But that's not always the case. Expert learners know how to monitor the situation, and they constantly, flexibly adjust their strategies so they get even better over time. And finally, at the end, when they get back feedback on an essay or a test, novice learners are just relieved that it's over. And they tend to ignore feedback that hurts their ego. Expert learners know the value of feedback for improvement, and they take it seriously for their future growth. So to summarize, expert learners are more aware and more strategic across the three phases of learning: before learning, during learning, and after learning. Is there something small that I can do today to start my journey? Yes. My secret, now increasingly supported by psychological science, is to start by simply asking yourself the strategic questions. What can I try to be better at this? What else can I do to be even better? Asking and answering these strategic questions is actually the beginning of becoming even better. In psychology, we call this a strategic mindset.